Welcome to Stewards Watch for the Madrid E-Prix here in 2026. Pico's alongside me once again, and we start with what we left you with in Madrid was the two Jaguars under investigation. At the time, all we had the information was for a pit boost infraction. We have since learned what that was. There is a simple document that refers to both Mitch Evans and Antonio Félix da Costa. We've got footage of Mitch Evans that we're going to show you, and it was an alleged breach of Article 37.5c of the sporting regulations. It's on your screen now, and it says that no more than two people may work on the car plus one person assigned specifically to stop and release the car. All have to wear eye protection, so that's all fine. But the bit that we want you to focus on is highlighted in pinky purple. While the person in charge to stop and release the car must stay at all times on the garage side of the car. And let me tell you, we've been debating this for quite a bit to try and get it right for you at home, because this is one of the most confusing ones, Pico, that I think we've done on Stewards Watch. The stewards have said it's no further action because they could not find any validation of any violation of the relevant regulation. We've got it here for Mitch Evans. So what we think it is just half a foot over the line from garage side into the slow lane where the car stops from the lollipop man. So let's take a look, Pico. Talk us through it.
Right, so what we're seeing is slightly different from what we thought we were looking at the end of the Madrid E-Prix. It's not the person at the back who kind of leans over the car. It's this guy at the front stopping Mitch Evans. You can see where he's standing there. He is standing on a white line. Now, this rule had been tweaked for Madrid so that the stoppers couldn't be beyond that white line. And so, as you can see, that he's on the line. So it's a little bit VAR here. The fact that he wasn't completely over the line means that it's been given as fair game. So yeah, Mitch Evans pulls into the stop, and then the guy at the front walks away from it. But yes, that's what we're looking at.
Just a tiny bit over, isn't it? Now, from that angle that we've got, this is why we've been debating whether or not it's VIR. The stewards have access to different camera angles, so they possibly could have seen a different viewpoint, like the phantom ball, if you're a football fan. Is it over the line or is it just on the line? It's all about the perception of angle and how light bends around a human's eye and even down a camera lens. They've got very similar tech. So from this angle, Pico, this is all we've got to work with. We can see that this side here, beyond this, behind this line, that is the garage side. This bit here where the two mechanics are allowed to be there, that's to recharge the car during pit boost. This lane here, that is designated as the slow lane, and that's where the cars can come in, stop, change tyres, change wings, pit boost, everything. They then go through no man's land, which is also where, if you're a photographer, a journalist, you can't go beyond that line in the pit lane. But if you've got a pit badge for the pit wall, you can go over it, because you have to cross through this area here, which is the fast lane, which is where the traffic goes at 80 kilometers an hour. So the regulation, Pico, states that the lollipop man, which is here, must stay on the garage side of the car at all times. Because in the slow lane, it's only these two people who are allowed into the area to work on the car. The debate we're having is that this lollipop operator has gone over this line by a fraction. Now, you mentioned about the regulation coming in. The stewards have said it's no further action, but from that angle, should it have been a penalty, and they've got lucky it's not, going forward, should that be a warning to the teams that if you do that, it should be a penalty?
Yeah, there is a lot of ambiguity around this new tweaked part of the regulation, but yeah, I think it's something that it's partly Madrid specific as well, because when we go to other circuits, they may not have that white line on the pit apron, but yeah, it's something that was definitely kind of looked into. But because he was on the line, He wasn't over the line, and so where that comes in is the fact that it could be deemed as 3 people working on the car during the pit boot stop, and not 2, which is clearly stated in the regulations.
Yes, it's only 2 that can physically work on it, and the 3rd must remain as the stop-go operator for the lollipop. Now, a simple fix, maybe, Pika, going forward, is to introduce a light system, because obviously he's having to hold a pole over the car. So maybe to try and erase that, like we see in Formula 1, a green light, red light situation could be brought in to stop this. And a secondary question on that, if it is going to be a penalty teams in future, should it be for the driver or should it be for the team in some sort of monetary faction?
I think it's absolutely got to be for the team in a monetary way. There was no advantage gained by Mitch and Antonio's mechanic being a little bit further in than should be. It's only by, I'd guess, about 10, 15 centimeters. It's not much in it whatsoever. But yeah, for that, it feels like a slap on the wrist, and maybe a few $1,000 fine or something like that going forward, if needs be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Jaguar are very lucky on both cases because it happened on both of their cars. And really, the stewards need to keep a closer eye on this one because it's confused us. Hopefully, we've simplified it for you. In this instance, he was not over the line completely, so it's hard to prove if he did go over it. It's a catch-22 situation, but I think all the teams are going to be looking for an ulterior solution going forward. Okay, so let's take a look at our next clip, and this is happening earlier on in the race now. This is Pascal Wehrlein getting run up the back by Nyck de Vries. He got a 5-second time penalty for this, de Vries, and he got a further 5-second time penalty, so 10 in total in what has been a race to forget, and, in all honesty, a season to forget. So, Pico, let's take a look. It's fairly slam dunk on this one, isn't it? Because Wehrlein's minding his own business, and we've got some text at the bottom from the team radio saying that Wehrlein calling de Vries that he can't race. I found that quite funny. But this is a slam dunk. It deserved a penalty. De Vries just having a bit of a mind wander, I think. Go on.
Yeah, this section of circuit is a little bit interesting. You see the contact there, but yeah, that corner going into that corner, it's kind of like a double apex one. So you kind of focus on the second one. So I think he kind of hung back in the first part of the apex, then kind of swooped in and was a day late and $1 short, unfortunately, and that also clipped into the Jaguar alongside him as well. But yeah, De Vries, I mean, like. He had such a roller coaster weekend. He crashed in free practice 1. He got to the final of the duels in qualifying, and then to do this, I think this was only maybe lap 2 or 3 into the race.
Really early.
It wasn't great. You see that he's broken a wing out of it, but yeah, we have seen a few of these incidents from Nyck, unfortunately, far too often recently. And this is on board from the Jaguar of Da Costa, the eventual race winner. So De Vries is also kind of, he doesn't have many options in terms of where to go. But one of the options shouldn't have been into the back of Pascal Wehrlein there. He should have had a little bit greater care, and even Da Costa not happy about that because he then loses a handful of positions out of that as well. So it didn't just affect De Vries and Wehrlein's race, it did also affect Da Costa. But thankfully for him, he went on to win that one.
Yeah, so a 5-second time penalty, then a further 5 for the race director instructions not going down incredibly easily. In that case, it's slam dunk. We have to agree with the stewards on that one because you can't just run into the back of them.
Exactly, yeah.
Should it have been harsher, maybe? Or just sort of okay?
No, I think, well, we see a lot in Formula 1, especially in these style of races. Everyone is so packed up together. Well, they want us to call it a pack race. So yeah, a 5-second penalty. We've seen it time and time again where they might finish really high up in the top 10. They get a 5-second penalty and they'll end up in 17th. And so, yeah, I think personally for me, I think that was a fair penalty for Nyck.
Okay, so our next incident is between Jean-Éric Vergne getting hit by Taylor Barnard. And now, Barnard had a bit of an up and down race. Earlier on, before this, he was involved in another incident with the 51 down at the first corner, forcing off the circuit. And then Pico, we both remember, but we haven't got footage of it. Him and Verne were already having a bit of a ding dong earlier on in the race, and this seemed to be a bit reactionary from Barnard. He dives on the inside and makes contact with Jean-Éric. So we'll watch it first, and you talk us through it.
Yeah, this is another in the string of incidents that happened in that race. So Taylor goes for the diving move down in turn 4. He's more than entitled to make that move. It's just that it did not pay off. But it's actually not fully his fault in the way that we thought it might be. It is still the fault of Taylor. But you'll see he's alongside, so he's basically 3/4 alongside, but does smash into the side of Jev as well. So Jev has to turn out anyways. But that's not actually the end of it, because we see here that the two of them make contact again and their wheels interlock, and that means that both of them go straight on at that point. Jev is heading towards the wall and is lucky not to head into it, but even Taylor goes off wide at that point and loses two almost 3 positions. But Jev definitely comes out the worst party there with a little bit of front wing damage and losing a lot more positions than Taylor.
So to take a look again from the onboard angle, this is at the exit into the swing of another corner. So as one racing line goes one way, Barnard very much veers for a dive bomb on the inside line. And as you said, it's a bold move because just a couple of minutes before this, he did a beautiful swing on the inside line down at turn 4 as well on one of the Nissans. But I just ran out of talent here, I think, a little bit, and Verne didn't know he was there. As you said, it's sort of the secondary impact, isn't it? That sort of drags them off. You can see, actually, that second one, as you mentioned, it breaks Verne's wing, and they just go straight because Barnard can't turn, Verne can't turn, and they're heading towards the barrier. And as you said, 2 places lost for Barnard. That's already 3 lost, now 4 lost for Jean-Éric Vergne, Pico. So a 5-second time penalty there. Are you in agreement with it?
I think it's absolutely fair. Taylor caused the accident. I don't think it is as clear cut as people think, but I do think that Taylor's definitely at fault because, as you see there on the right, he still makes contact with Jev, so he is the aggressor there. But it's that secondary impact that they're both kind of a little bit out of control for that does most of the damage there. But yeah, I think Taylor getting the 5 second is absolutely fair, and he did actually agree that in the press pan afterwards as well.
Yeah, you can catch that all on the FEZ channel as well, as Jack was interviewing all the drivers, so you can hear what Taylor had to say. So in that instance, agree with the stewards, very much deserving of a 5-second time penalty. So our final penalty we're going to look at is, again, another confusing one, just how we started. New rules have come in this year to implement seconds penalties, and that can be a variety depending on how much a driver is impeded by the action of a driver involved. So Sébastien Buemi, who you can see in the green car right at the back of your picture, is alongside Jake Dennis, who's got 27 seconds left of attack mode, which means he's in 350 kilowatts of power. Sébastien Buemi is in 300, the normal race parameter. We're going on to lap 22, so it's the last chance for Dennis to have an attack through with the remaining charge. So what's happened is, we'll play it through normally to begin with, Pico, is that already down to turn 1, Buemi's gone to the inside towards the pit lane to go defensive, and I'll try and slow it down because he's compromised at the exit and gets a poor run. So if I slow it down and move it on slightly, you can see, compared to compared to Dennis, Buemi's got a poor exit. As you can see, Dennis is much tighter on the inside line.
Yeah, and Buemi will be doing this at this point. He hasn't got attack mode. He'd run out of attack mode a few laps beforehand, and he is now trying to cling on to what he can do for the rest of the points. And so he exits that corner. Obviously, Jake has attack mode. He has 4-wheel drive, 50 kilowatts extra power. He will struggle to hold on. So what he does, and you just see it in the background on the right, you'll just see them come through shot. That first blur is Sébastien Buemi, and he is right on the curb. You can see him on the yellow and black curbs, and Dennis is right there on the inside. And what the stewards are saying is that Dennis was shoved to the inside, and Buemi didn't give enough room to Jake Dennis going into turn 2 there.
You can just see that Buemi's very much on the blue, and Dennis is practically over. You can't even see blue on his side of the camera. He's running along the grass. Why we don't have an onboard of this, I don't know. Literally, it's a little freeze frame and you'll see it. But that's the reason Buemi got a 1.9 second penalty for blocking Dennis behind him. Now, we've seen this in other motorsports, as you mentioned. Specifically, we've seen it in motorcycle racing, where they drop like a second or 2 seconds or positions if anything is unsportsmanlike. But we've never really seen it in Formula racing and in FIA single-seaters. So I think the best way that I can explain it is that it's basically a steward's... In motorcycle racing, how they use it is it's the steward's discretion if it's unfair. Like it's unsportsmanlike behaviour. But here, is that how we're implementing it? How do you see it, Pika? Because it's a very 50-50. Is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Because is it racing or is it dangerous driving?
The thing is, and this is one of the key things about this, is we only have this camera angle.
That's
so we
it.
can only give our judgment based on this. The stewards will have all sorts of different camera angles. We don't know how much Dennis was alongside Seb going into the corner. We don't know. We can only tell how much it looks that Dennis is kind of on the curve compared to Seb. But we can't really tell the greatest amount from the footage that we have. But this is something that we are used to in Formula E. We are used to having drivers that aren't in attack mode be passed with drivers who are in attack mode, and the closing speeds are rather significant. And so when you're coming up to a kink, someone might try and lunge it on the inside, but when you're in attack mode, you need to be more aware of the fact that you are the one that would be the aggressor in this case. So for me, I'd say that's no further action. Obviously, we don't know how far alongside Dennis was to Buemi, but for me, Buemi was just defending his position. And so, for me, no further action.
I have to agree with you, because to me, it feels like if we're penalising racing, then that's a very sticky circumstance. And as I cover motorcycle racing as well, I can tell you that sometimes the journalists, the riders, and even the people who had it done to them say, no, that shouldn't have been a penalty. We were racing hard. So it's a sort of a... Do you reckon this is a reaction to how the Formula E drivers wrote the letter to the FIA saying about how they're worried about the inconsistencies in the stewarding? And do you think the stewards have come into it and gone, okay, we're going to police this a lot this weekend? Because it did seem like we were seeing more penalties than we ever did before.
The main reason why this series started is because there were quite a lot of penalties at the start of the season that never came to fruition, that a lot of fans and a lot of and us lot as well, we thought that it did deserve to at least be looked at in some situations, and some of them did deserve to be penalties. But so I get that there were quite a lot more penalties in Madrid than there have been beforehand, but I still don't think that's the correct response to it. I think that there is this kind of happy medium that we're looking for, and it's like they weren't doing enough and now they're going too much. And hopefully when we get to Berlin, I think it's the next round, we will see sort of like a little bit kind of in the middle, because I do think that some of the penalties this weekend in Madrid were a little bit overkill.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Thanks, Pico, for your analysis. Hat, you can now head back to your green screen room for more Professor talk later on as we get back to Berlin, which is where Formulary stops next, and we hope to see you there in a few weeks' time.